Hi, my name's Jim, and I'm the author of this book called The Magical Star, and this is video 4 on the human spirit. And in video 3, I talked a bit about heaven and where we go and how we get there. I just want to expand on that a bit. People used to ask me, uh, well, what is this like? What happens? What happens when you pass on to this place called heaven. Uh, let's, for an example, let's just take a fireman. I used to use a fireman as an example because I had a very good friend as a fireman. Uh, and this fireman on his, on Earth is lives in a nice house, three decker. In a city, he has a nice wife, grown children, and he's spent 20 years on the fire department. And once a week he goes down with his buddies and has a drink at the VFW or whatever. And then one day he simply has a heart attack and dies in his sleep. And what happens here is that this fellow will wake up, and in this scenario is the same no matter who you are. It's uh, uh, God, that I choose to call my higher power, is a loving God and tries to make things as comfortable for us as possible in between these lifetimes on Earth. Uh, he'll most likely wake up in a hospital, uh, being attended by a doctor and very attractive nurses who are hovering over him. And he once he regains his composure, he'll usually ask, "Well, what happened, doctor?" And these the doctor and the nurses, in a very kind way, will tell him that he's passed over and he's now in heaven. Uh, and he's free to get up out of bed and leave the hospital whenever he wants. And there'll be somebody along there to help him along the way, his guides, uh, or some people might wake up surrounded by angels. It's just on what they feel, how they feel it should be when they pass over. And it doesn't matter whether you believe in a life after death or not. I mean, you get it whether or not you like it or want it. Uh, and it's for all of us. Uh, and of course, as I said earlier in video 3, you get whatever you want instantly. So the first thing that this fireman thinks of, he says, "Well, gee, I want to see my wife." And he finds himself walking down his street into his house and sees his wife. And it's he can see that she's very sad that he's passed on. He wants to reassure that everything's fine, and if there's a psychic in the house, the psychic will be very glad to tell her that he's here, and he just wants to tell you that he's okay. He might hang around for the funeral. He might hang around for the uh, for the various activities that are going on, to see his children and his friends and so on. Uh, I was at a wake at a good friend of mine, and while I was there were, he was very well liked. He was a therapist, and there were probably 50 to 100 people in the yard. And I could see him going from person to person. He was very happy. And I tried to pass that on to people, whether they believed it or not. I was reassured. And, uh, and that's what happens. After he sees that his family is okay, and he then just feels like, I want to get back to where I was, and he suddenly finds himself back on the emotional plane or astral plane, and he's now thinks, gee, I, I always wanted a Cadillac, and he will probably have some guys there to, tell him what to do. If you want a Cadillac, you can have one. So he wishes for a BMW, and he gets that, and he finds it's a fantastic roads that he can drive on. Or if some people, gee, I wish I could fly, and they find themselves flying all over the place. But there's one thing I want to explain about this heaven is it's limited. It's not infinite. Uh, it surrounds this planet Earth. Uh, uh, it's sort of like a larger bubble than the planet Earth. And so you can actually fly to a point where you can't fly anymore because that's the end of this astral plane. But it is large enough for you to enjoy, all your scenes. You can see fantastic oceans, beautiful, wonderful mountains, and you can enjoy all of these things. Also, you can meet the most beautiful people in the world, whether you're male or female, and also see people from your past, past people who have passed on. And you can see people who are dreaming. If you feel a need to pass on some information while they're dreaming, because it's been done to us while we dream. So that's more of heaven. And on video 5, I'm going to discuss, most people say "Gee, I wish I could just have some peace." The term peace on earth, everybody wishes. Well, you can have peace. You can have peace of mind. In a video 5, I'm going to go over that. It's very basic, very simple. But, depending on where you are, it could be very hard to do. So until video 5, have a nice day, and bye.